They look still, but mountains never sleep. Even as you breathe, stone shifts beneath the stars. A continent moves slower than a heartbeat, and the earth keeps dreaming in silence. Hello there, and welcome to Sleep Science 360. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Tell me softly, where are you listening from? A quiet valley under rain, a city wrapped in cloudlight, or somewhere between both, where the wind hums gently against your window? Either way, this moment belongs to you now. The world can fade, your breath can slow, and the noise of the day can fall behind the horizon. You can rest here in the calm presence of something older than memory. Stone dreams in centuries. Someone once wrote that, and they were right. Because tonight we'll listen to the mountains, those patient giants that seem still, but are never truly still at all. This is the story of why mountains never sleep. It's a tale told in inches per year, in plates of stone, sliding deep beneath the sea, in the quiet pulse of magma and the soft crumble of time. When you touch a rock, you touch the memory of fire and ocean. Granite was once liquid. Limestone was once coral. The peaks that rise above the clouds were once dust beneath ancient waves. Even now they move, not fast, not loud, but steadily, like the slow breath of the planet itself. The Himalayas grow about 5 millimeters taller each year. The Andes tremble in their sleep as tectonic plates collide. Even Mount Fuji, serene beneath its veil of snow, breathes through tiny quakes and invisible steam. To the human eye, they seem eternal. But to time, they are waves frozen mid-motion, slow tides of stone. And as you listen, as your breathing settles into its own quiet rhythm, you might feel it, the faint echo of that motion beneath you. The ground under your bed, your city, your life is drifting, turning, breathing. A planet alive and unhurried. Light that left its star before you were born touches the peaks tonight. And in its glow, the mountains turn their faces to the sky and dream their slow, unending dream. You can rest now. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you, and somewhere the mountains continue to move. You lie still now, and beneath you the planet breathes. Its breath is slow, slower than any creature's a pulse, measured in millions of years. The crust you rest upon floats like an island of glass riding a deep sea of molten rock. And though the ground feels solid, it is always moving, always whispering its weight into the dark below. You can rest now. We often think of stone as silence, yet in truth, it hums. Every grain of quartz and feldspar carries the memory of pressure, the gentle crack of atoms rearranged in heat and time. In laboratory silence, scientists listen to this hum with sensors fine enough to detect the smallest shift. The numbers say the crust bends in size a few centimeters each year, a heartbeat of geology, soft and unending. The planet's crust is divided into about 7 great plates, each tens of kilometers thick. They slide at roughly 2 to 8 centimeters per year. Slow enough that no eye can see it, but fast enough to raise a new mountain in less than 50 million years. That is how the Himalayas came to be. India, once an island adrift in the southern sea, drifted north, colliding with Asia at a pace no faster than your fingernails grow. It is strange, isn't it, that something so mighty could move so quietly. We live in the quick. The mountains live in the deep. Where we count our lives in seasons, they count theirs in continents. Each quake, each tremor, each rise of stone is a line in the Earth's slow diary. And yet within that slowness, there is motion everywhere. Imagine now a cross-section of the planet. The outer crust, barely 35 kilometers thick, floating on the mantle's slow rivers of heat. Beneath that, at around 2,900 kilometers, the core glows at over 5,000 degrees Celsius, turning like a hidden sundae. That inner fire stirs convection currents, lifting and sinking rock, as if the planet were breathing through stone. We breathe air. The Earth breathes rock. It's okay to drift. In Iceland, where two tectonic plates pull apart new crust, forms each year a black ribbon of basalt cooling in the sea wind. Tiny crystals bloom in the lava as it hardens olivine pyroxene plagioclase minerals that sparkle like sleeping stars. Each crystal is a clock. As they form, they trap tiny bits of gas and magnetic memory, a timestamp of Earth's heartbeat. Somewhere far from Iceland along the Pacific Rim, the opposite happens. One plate slides beneath another, plunging into darkness in a slow descent called subduction. There, at depths of 100 to 700 kilometers, the rock melts, feeds volcanoes, and the cycle begins again. Creation and destruction in the same quiet breath. It's okay to drift. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Geologists once thought mountains were eternal. Only in the 20th century did we see them move, a realization born from satellite eyes and seismic echoes. They found that even now, the Alps still rise about 1 millimeter each year, while the Appalachian Mountains, once as high as the Himalayas, are slowly being worn back to the roots by rain, erosion. That patient sculptor carries stone to the sea, grain by grain. Rivers turn peaks into deltas, and deltas sink into the mantle to rise again as future peaks. Nothing is still. Everything is becoming. Somewhere, light continues to travel. And as we watch these slow rhythms unfold, we begin to feel the truth of it, that rest is not the absence of motion, but the balance within it. The same way your lungs fill and empty while you sleep, the planet shifts and sighs beneath you. In this way, you and the mountains share a rhythm: your breath, their drift; your stillness, their patience. It's okay to drift. At the edge of night, wind slides along the ridges. The air cools as it rises, condensing into mist. Tiny droplets cling to granite-feeding moss and lichen that slowly eat the rock, a green hush of time. Each cell's acid breaks a single bond. Each frost crack widens a line. It takes 10,000 years for a boulder to crumble to soil. And yet, in that soil, forests will take root, and rivers will carry the dust to the sea. And one day, perhaps, the sea floor will rise to sky again. You can rest now. In the quiet between these thoughts, hear the low hum of the world turning. The planet spins at 1670 kilometers per hour at the equator, while orbiting the sun at nearly 30 kilometers per second. Even as you lie motionless, you are moving faster than any mountain peak. Stillness is only a trick of scale. To the Earth, your rest and its motion are one and the same. Somewhere, deep below, crystals shift magma pulses, and the iron heart of the planet spins a little faster than the crust above. Scientists call this differential rotation. It keeps our magnetic field alive, a silent shield against cosmic wind. Without it, the atmosphere would fade and the mountains would crumble to dust in open space. You are safe here. The universe holds you. In the long story of stone, your lifetime is a single breath, a brief warmth upon the skin of earth. Yet that warmth matters. Each breath you take returns carbon to the air, which rains into the sea, feeds coral, and someday becomes limestone, perhaps, to rise again as part of a distant mountain. We are written into the planet as softly as clouds are written into the sky. The rhythm that shaped continents also shapes your heartbeat, a reminder that nothing in nature truly ends. It's okay to drift. Think now of a mountain range at dawn. Mist clings to the lower slopes. The first light slides across granite faces that have stood for tens of millions of years. Birdsong breaks against the cliffs, a brief shimmer of sound that will fade before the next glacier comes. Above them, cirrus clouds stretch thin as breath, and beyond that, the calm vacuum of space between them all, between skyrock and silence, is you, a listener inside the long sleep of the world. You can rest now. Somewhere, tectonic plates drift another millimeter. Somewhere, a glacier melts and carves a new valley. Somewhere, magma rises like a thought through the crust. The mountains turn in their dreams, and the earth exhales. The planet's slow heart continues to beat a rhythm deeper than sound, older than memory, steady as sleep itself. And you, small and infinite, float upon that rhythm. Your breath aligns with the turning core. Your pulse becomes a whisper in the mantle's flow. You are part of the same patience that lifts stone toward the Sunday. You are safe here. The world beneath you moves, and still you are held. The mountains never sleep, but you can. Beneath the mountains, the world flows. What we call solid earth is in truth a slow river of heat. Every atom inside the mantle drifts like warm honey, rising and sinking in cycles that last tens of millions of years. This is the planet's hidden circulation, its blood made of rock. You can rest now. When we speak of magma, we imagine fire and eruption. But most of it moves quietly unseen at temperatures near 200 degrees Celsius, creeping upward through fractures, no wider than a breath. It travels at the speed of a fingernail's growth, a molten whisper, shaping the crust from below. Over time, that slow current feeds volcanoes, forms granite deep underground, and renews the crust that rain and wind will one day erase. In this long rhythm, nothing is wasted. Each eruption cools. Each cooling solidifies into crystal, and those crystals, when lifted by tectonic motion, become the very peaks that catch tomorrow's snow. Rock becomes fire, becomes rock again. A cycle so patient, it could lull the sun to sleep. It's okay to drift. Geophysicists map these hidden streams by listening to how earthquakes echo through the earth. Waves of sound bend and slow in molten zones, revealing bright plumes of heat rising from the core. Mantle boundary, sometimes more than 2,000 kilometers tall. They call them mantle plumes, pillars of slow fire that sculpt continents. Hawaii sits atop one such plume, its islands built from the steady exhalation of the planet's unseen forge. To imagine it, think of a candle flame turned upside down, its tip brushing the crust, its base anchored in the deep mantle's dark. Each island is a frozen breath of that flame. Each layer of basalt tells the story of a pulse that began long before mammals walked the shore. And still the river beneath stone moves on. Somewhere under your feet, minerals melt and reform. Iron oxides align with the Earth's magnetic field, tiny compass needles trapped in cooling rock. In them, scientists read the history of drifting continents like pages in a stone-bound book. They show that once every landmass on Earth gathered into one colossal body, Pangaea, about 335 million years ago, before it cracked and drifted apart again. The Atlantic Ocean opened slowly, only a few centimeters each year. Yet, across that time, it grew to more than 4,000 miles wide, all from a seam of magma, widening in silence. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. In that deep current lies the planet's warmth, a gift from its birth. 4.5 billion years ago, Earth formed from collisions so violent that its surface melted into a global ocean of fire. Even now, the core retains that heat, radiating upward like memory. Half of it comes from radioactive decay, uranium, thorium, and potassium, quietly releasing energy, grain by grain. This decay powers the drift of continents, the raising of mountains, and the subtle tremor you never feel. It's okay to drift. When magma cools slowly within the crust, it crystallizes into granite, a rock dense with quartz and feldspar, tough enough to bear the weight of worlds. That granite, when uplifted, becomes the spine of continents, the Rockies, the Himalayas, the backbone of every ridge you've ever seen, all born from a patient crystallization of heat. You can rest now. Listen inward and imagine that warmth spreading through the planet like breath. The deep mantle moves a few centimeters a year, but its motion drives storms of stone. Over millions of years, these convection currents drag continents across the globe and open new seas. Where plates diverge, magma rises. Where they collide, it sinks again. A circulation so vast, it might take 500 million years to complete one loop. We float on that breath, our cities balanced on currents we will never see. Beneath the still mountains, a slow tide turns, and the earth dreams in molten syllables. You are safe here. The universe holds you. In this vast stillness of the night, the mantle continues to flow, unhurried, unwavering its rhythm, older than stars. The heat that moves beneath the stone is the same heat that once lit the first volcano, the same glow that shaped the cradle of life. And though we cannot feel it, we live within its warmth, the quiet pulse of a living world. It's okay to drift. The river beneath the stone never sleeps, and neither does time. It moves beneath thought, beneath sound, beneath everything we know. A slow reminder that rest and motion are two halves of the same silence. You can rest now. The mountains are breathing, and through them so are you. Beneath every mountain there is another kind of river, not of fire, but of water, ancient, patient, and unseen. Rain falls on high ridges, seeps into fractures, and disappears into the dark. Some of it will return tomorrow as mist or spring, but some will journey for centuries, descending through porous rock until it meets hidden heat. You can rest now. Deep aquifers lie far below the reach of roots, their slow currents older than civilization. In the limestone caverns of Yucatan, fresh water flows through tunnels carved by vanished seas. Each drop holds a memory, a trace of carbon from a leaf, a whisper of salt from a forgotten tide. There are places where scientists have drawn that water and measured its age in isotopes, 20,000 years since it last touched the sky. It's okay to drift. In the Alps, Meltwater from glaciers seeps through fissures, picking up the quiet tone of minerals. By the time it returns to daylight, it carries the taste of stone, a mineral song that tells of pressure, distance, and time. Every river has a voice, and the earth listens. Seismic sensors register faint vibrations as groundwater moves and drains a soft percussion beneath the great symphony of tectonics. To the instruments, the planet sounds alive, a continuous hum of movement too low for human ears. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. This underground water shapes the mountains themselves. Over millions of years, acidic droplets carve caverns and hollows, creating labyrinths where light has never been. Stalactites grow from ceilings drip by drip, each one a calendar of rain. The slowest of them lengthen by less than 1/10 of a millimeter a year. If a single drop misses its mark, the story shifts a pause written in calcite. Inside such caves, silence is never empty. It resonates with the drip of time. Somewhere far below water trickles through sandstone, dissolving its way toward a hidden sea. It may take 10,000 years for that drop to find an outlet, a patient voyage through darkness. You are safe here. The universe holds you. Above those deep rivers, pressure builds and releases in rhythms as old as the crust. A quake begins, not with violence, but with a sigh, minerals shifting grains, unlocking their grip. Then a pulse travels outward at 5 kilometers per second, a sound so low it can pass through continents. Most of these tremors never reach the surface. They fade in silence, absorbed by layers of stone. The mountain sleeps through them, unmoved in its dreaming. It's okay to drift. Sometimes, deep beneath volcanoes, water trapped in rock flashes suddenly into steam. That pressure becomes a breath of eruption, a momentary exhale of the planet. Yet even that is part of balance, release, and renewal, as natural as your lungs filling and emptying. The same water that drives eruption later condenses in clouds, falls again as rain, and begins its quiet descent once more. Nothing is lost. Everything circles home. In Iceland, steam vents hiss at dawn, their warmth rising from water heated by magma below. These are the geysers, open mouths of the hidden river. Each surge of vapor carries minerals upward, weaving color into stone ochre green and ghostly white. Scientists measure these geysers to learn how heat moves through the crust, mapping the delicate balance between water pressure and time. You can rest now. In the stillness of night, the same processes continue unseen. Moisture condenses inside microscopic cracks, expanding as it freezes, splitting granite grain by grain. It is the gentlest form of destruction, a frost breath shaping tomorrow's soil. Each winter repeats the lesson. Softness reshapes even the hardest things. Listen closely, and you might imagine that sound, the sigh of melting ice, the murmur of water finding its path. Somewhere in the dark, a droplet falls into a hidden pool rings, spreading in silence. Above it, mountains sleep through eons. It's okay to drift. The river beneath the stone carries more than heat, and water, it carries time itself. Every layer of sediment records its passing ash clay, dust pollen, a million forgotten seasons pressed into memory. When geologists drill deep cores, they read that memory line by line. They find traces of ancient forests, signals of vanished oceans, and the fingerprints of ice, ages long gone. In those narrow cylinders of Earth, they see the whole breathing cycle of the planet. You are safe here. You belong to that cycle too. Your body holds water as old as the sea's calcium, once part of a reef iron forged in the heart of a star. You are a vessel of geological memory, a momentary shape in the long current of matter. As you rest, your pulse joins the slow beat of the world, a quiet echo of magma, of rain, of the endless flow beneath the mountains. You can rest now. It's okay to drift. Somewhere below, water and fire weave their endless conversation, balancing the planet's temperature, feeding the cradle of life. The mountains, heavy and still above, are only the visible edge of an ocean that never sleeps. And as you breathe, you move with it. Every inhale, uplift. Every exhale, erosion. Your stillness mirrors the calm between those forces. You are part of the mountain's dream. The river beneath the stone flows on quiet, unseen, eternal. It whispers through the night, carrying the memory of everything that was and everything that will be. You are safe here. The world moves beneath you, and still you are held. The mountains never sleep, but you can. The world is never silent. Even stone speaks its voice, stretched across frequencies too deep for the human ear. Every mountain exhales, not in air, but in vibration. A slow release of pressure, a sigh of gravity. To listen to the planet is to listen to time itself breathing. You can rest now. High above the valleys, the wind begins the song. It brushes along ridges, curling around spires of ice and granite, each gust shaping a tone. When the wind crosses a hollow peak, it hums in resonance, a natural flute carved by the cold. Somewhere in the Andes, researchers once placed microphones at the summit and recorded tones below 20 hertz. Too low for most ears, but felt in the chest like the echo of a heartbeat. The mountains were singing in sleep. It's okay to drift. When night falls, the air cools and contracts. Rock does the same. Microscopic cracks close and open, producing clicks, a quiet symphony of thermal breath. If you could amplify it, you would hear 1,000 tiny sighs per hour, a slow percussion of cooling stone. The earth never stops breathing. It simply shifts its rhythm with the dark. We breathe oxygen. The planet breathes pressure. Seismologists call these tremors microseisms. Waves born from wind and ocean swell, traveling through the crust at 3 to 5 kilometers per second. When the Atlantic crashes against a cliff in Ireland, the shock travels through bedrock, and sensors in Africa can feel it hours later. It is the planet's low drum, a heartbeat of water meeting stone. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The human ear cannot hear such sounds, but instruments translate them into audible range. And what emerges is astonishing. A constant hum, a tone that vibrates between 2 and 7 millihertz. Scientists call it the Earth's hum. It's there when the oceans are calm, when the wind is still, when the world seems asleep. No single cause, no single source, only the collective murmur of continents, shifting oceans, swelling, and the atmosphere pressing in gentle rhythm. Imagine lying on the ground in a quiet meadow. Beneath your body, the crust quivers by a billionth of a meter. Each pulse lasts seconds. Each wave travels the globe again and again. The same pattern repeats endlessly, a background song of gravity and motion. It's okay to drift. Somewhere, glaciers move a centimeter today. A breath of ice against rock. When they slide, they groan in frequencies lower than any human voice. Geophones capture these glacial murmurs and convert them into sound. To listen is to hear the weight of time sliding downhill. Every creak, every moan is ice remembering the sea. You are safe here. The universe holds you. In the Himalayas, winds at 8,000 meters sculpt the snow into waves. Those waves collapse, creating pressure bursts that roll down valleys like invisible thunder. At dawn, when air warms, the sound fades, a slow inhale of silence. To climbers who sleep among those ridges, the night sounds alive, a mix of shifting snow, wind harmonics, and the faint ring of rock expanding under starlight. You can rest now. Even the desert mountains breathe differently. During the day, they absorb the sun's heat and expand. At night, they release it in radiative sighs. Thermal cameras see this exhalation as fading light, a cooling glow that drifts skyward in ripples of infrared. It is a whisper made of warmth, a language spoken in wavelengths, too slow for sound, yet still a kind of voice. It's okay to drift. Scientists once placed sensitive instruments deep within the Swiss Alps to measure the smallest vibrations. After weeks, they realized the sensors recorded a rhythmic pulse every 12 minutes, a pressure wave moving through the entire mountain range, caused by temperature gradients and micro shifts of ice. The Alps were breathing in cycles, their lungs made of stone and snow. Somewhere light continues to travel. All over the world, from Kilimanjaro to Denali, every summit holds a rhythm. Wind, ice, thermal change, gravity, each contributes to the same endless exhale. The Earth's breath is vast, but gentle enough not to wake a single leaf. And in that gentleness, you can hear a mirror of your own calm. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Your lungs echo the mountain's rhythm. Every inhale draws from their cooling air. Every exhale gives warmth back to their slopes. You and the mountains share the same atmosphere, the same slow exchange of quiet energy. You can rest now. The night hums with the breath of the world, and somewhere deep beneath the ridges, a wave begins its long journey from ocean through crust to sky, a reminder that all things, even the oldest, are still moving. Far below the wind's song and the whisper of snow, the planet carries deeper notes. Stone transmits pressure like a hidden drum, and waves glide through the crust with patience wider than valleys. Some are swift, thin arrows of compression. Some are slow rolling ribbons that sway the surface like water. Together, they are the mountain's breath, measured not in air but in time. You can rest now. Seismologists give these breaths names. P waves move first, straight-line pulses that travel through granite at 5 to 6 kilometers per second, quick and quiet, slipping through the interior like thought. Rays of shearing motion follow S waves, unable to pass through liquid, pausing where the core begins, taking the long way around. At the surface, Rayleigh and love waves arrive, rolling and swaying with periods of 10 to 200 seconds. They are the slow exhale ripples that make whole ranges move a hair's width, then sleep again. It's okay to drift. Even in the absence of earthquakes, the world keeps humming. Oceans push against continents. Storms generate infrasound called microbaroms, low pulses near 0.2 to 0.5 hertz that wander across the globe like weather made of tone. Sensitive barometers hear them pass over ridges, and the stone answers in kind, a soft reply you would never notice while walking under stars. Somewhere, light continues to travel, far higher in frequency, but still below hearing. Another chorus fills the air, lightning drumming the atmosphere into a cavity of sky. Physicists call these the Schumann resonances, centered near 7.8 Hz with higher, gentle harmonics. They are not sound, but an electromagnetic breath circling the planet between Earth and ionosphere, a faint global heartbeat of storms. The mountains feel it as electric tingle on wet nights, as mineral grains aligning and relaxing with the passing charge. Stone and sky exchange a whisper. You can't hear yet. The world grows calmer as midnight deepens. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. After the rare great quake, the planet sometimes rings like a bell. Normal modes, whole Earth oscillations, rise in periods of minutes to hours, frequencies of 0.3 to 5 millihertz. No one hears them, but instruments show continents swaying by micrometers, a lullaby of inertia returning to stillness. The mountains breathe long and low, and the breath fades back into the ground. It's okay to drift. Not all voices come from deep time. Some belong to the present weather of stone. Natural arches in the desert sing when the wind is right, their sandstone throats resonating at a few hertz, a bass murmur felt through the feet. Talus slopes rattle under freeze-thaw pebbles, settling as dusk cools the slope, a delicate clatter like distant beads. In karst country, whole hills inhale as barometric pressure falls, exhaling through cave mouths with a steady sigh. The mountain is a lung made of chambers. Air moves when the world around it changes. You are safe here. The universe holds you. High glacial plateaus add their own pulse. As the sun sets, katabatic winds flow, downslope dense air, sliding in glassy sheets along ice. Where these winds spill into stone basins, they pulse at intervals of tens of seconds, nudging the ground with gentle pressure waves. Seismic lines pick up this breathing as repeating patterns, like the sleeping rhythm of a giant creature. By dawn, the pattern softens. Warmth loosens the air, and the pulse grows shy. You can rest now. In forests along the mountain's flanks, tree trunks sway with infrasound roots, transmitting the push into soil sharing it with buried rock. Every living thing becomes an instrument tuned to gravity and wind. The chorus is slow and endless, a music without audience, yet everything that grows learns the tempo. Sometimes a volcano speaks, not with eruption, but with tremor, a steady tone as magma moves through conduits often between 1 and 5 hertz. It can last for minutes or days, the underground equivalent of a kettle approaching boil. Monitors translate the tremor into audio, and the sound emerges as a low, patient purr. Even fire prefers a measured breath before it acts. It's okay to drift. The world is a library of trembling pages. A geophysicist wrote that once, and the thought lingers like a soft chord. Each hill, a page, each wave, a line of handwriting too delicate for eyes. To read such a book requires time and the willingness to sit very still. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Night stretches, and the band of air near the ground cools and thickens. Sound travels farther, bending around ridges that hit it by day. On distant slopes, avalanches release a low roll arriving long after the snow has settled. Somewhere else, a river booms through a narrow gorge, its tone deepening as the water drops with winter frost. All these notes travel through the skeleton of the range, arriving everywhere as the same patient hum. You can rest now. The body answers to this slowness. Bones feel it as quiet weight. Breath finds the pace of the night wind, and thought loosens like talus, giving way to sleep. No need to do anything. The mountain's metronome is already keeping time, unheard, unfailing, unhurried. In the long memory of the planet, there are pulses older than continents. Tides lift the crust by centimeters twice each day, the moon's gravity kneading rock in cycles of 12 and 24 hours. It is the gentlest hand, yet over eras. It stirs magma, steers geysers toward their hour, and sets a faint schedule for the breathing ground. The mountains rise and fall by a whisper, a cradle, rocking so slow it becomes another word for stillness. It's okay to drift. All these breaths, wind, ice, tide, quake, storm, overlay one another like translucent veils. A single point on a ridge might move by 1,000th of a millimeter this second, by a different 1,000th the next, each motion the sum of many distant causes. What seems like silence is a woven quiet threads, crossing from ocean to sky, from core to cloud. Somewhere, light continues to travel. If you could hear the mountain as instruments do, you would notice the constancy most of all. Its voice does not clamor. It keeps a vow with balance. Too much pressure, and it sighs into release. Too much heat, and it opens a vent for steam. Too much cold, and it fractures into future soil. Every tone returns the world to center. Every breath arrives at rest. You are safe here. The universe holds you. Beneath the stars, a surface wave wanders along the spine of a range, carrying the memory of a far-off storm. It glides past your valley without hurry, passes under your bed with no intention to wake, and continues toward a coast you may never see. The mountain doesn't mind the visitor. It has room for every note and time enough to cradle them all. You can rest now. Your breathing matches what the range is doing. A long inhale you do not notice, a long exhale that leaves the world a fraction quieter. Somewhere beyond the ridge, a glacier shifts by the width of a hair. Somewhere beneath the ridge, the crust replies with a murmur. And somewhere within you, thought loosens its grip and begins to fall like snow. The night carries these low songs onward past summits and into valleys, through forests and across water, fading not to silence, but to peace. The mountains keep breathing, and you, listening from a warm, dark room, float on their rhythm until rhythm becomes sleep. It's okay to drift. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The breath of the mountains goes on. When night lingers over, the mountain's light begins its slow return. Even before the sun appears, the air glows with a breath. You can almost hear blue rising from the east, silver fading from the west. The sky itself seems to pulse a rhythm, made not of sound, but of scattered light. You can rest now. The atmosphere above the ridges is thin, a veil stretched tight between stone and space. Each dawn, it trembles as sunlight brushes its edge. The pressure waves of daybreak spread through it, tiny pulses that travel faster than any storm. They ripple through air at 340 meters per second, stirring dust-waking birds and coaxing color from what was black. The mountains inhale that first warmth, their slopes exhaling frost in invisible sighs. It's okay to drift. If you could see temperature as color, you would watch the peaks change hue with every minute. Granite cools, darkens, and slowly reflects the morning light. Quartz catches it first, then feldspar, then mica, glittering like slow lightning. Each mineral sings its wavelength, a harmony of stone and sky. Even shadows move to the same tempo. By noon, they crawl a mountain's length at barely 1 millimeter per second. Light and darkness, forever chasing, forever arriving home. Somewhere light continues to travel. In the still air of high altitude, the planet's breath meets the sun's. Solar particles skim the atmosphere, creating faint whispers of electric glow. At night, these whispers become auroras, streaming curtains of charged air that shimmer above poles. Each ripple of color corresponds to height and element: green for oxygen, at 100 kilometers red, for the rare breath of atoms higher still. And though you may be half a world away, the same magnetic pulse circles through you, through the ground, through the mountain's heart. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. When the wind climbs the slopes, it cools, slows, and turns upward, forming invisible rivers across the peaks. Each valley becomes a chamber of echoes, every gust a phrase. Meteorologists call this orographic. Lift the motion that builds clouds where none existed before. A mountain can wring rain from the sky simply by breathing upward. Moisture gathers, condenses, and falls, a conversation between air and elevation. You are safe here. The universe holds you. At sunset, the process reverses. Warm air in the valley rises and cools, descending again in the form of evening winds. They carry the scent of pine, the trace of distant rivers, and the faint metallic taste of dust. Each molecule, each shimmer of heat, moves in a pattern so wide that it takes hours to complete a single cycle. The day breathes out, the night breathes in, and the world keeps its balance. It's okay to drift. High above the jet stream murmurs a ribbon of air flowing at 160 kilometers per hour around the globe. Even from far below, its movement shapes the mountain's mood. Clear skies when it runs, smooth storms when it wavers. End of sexty. Satellite instruments see it as a moving scar of silver, a pulse beneath the sky that never sleeps. Pilots call it the planet's highway. Scientists, its circulatory vein. But to the Earth, it is simply breath exhaled, heat made wind. You can rest now. Sometimes that wind bends around summits and forms waves of air invisible to the eye. These are Lee waves, oscillations trapped between the ground and the stratosphere. Their crests marked only by lines of lenticular clouds, smooth, lens-shaped forms that hover motionless even as the air races through them. Pilots who fly through such clouds describe an uncanny stillness, a sensation of being held by air itself. The mountains teach the wind to stand still just for a moment before letting it pass. You are safe here. The same air that brushes mountaintops tonight has circled the planet many times before. It might have passed over the Pacific yesterday, through the jungles of Sumatra a year ago, and across the Arctic centuries before that. Every breath you take carries the memory of oceans and storms, of forests and plains, of other nights and other hearts at rest. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The mountains pulse, and the sky's rhythm intertwine, creating weather, not chaos, but choreography. Each change in temperature, each rising breeze, each drop of rain is a step in an endless dance. The sun's warmth pulls the Earth's rotation turns, and together they guide the air like partners moving in silence. You are part of that dance now, your own breath, matching the rise and fall of the wind beyond the window. It's okay to drift. Far above, satellites drift too, riding invisible currents of gravity. They circle the world every 90 minutes, measuring the brightness of clouds, the shimmer of snow, the temperature of ridges where no human foot has ever stood. Through them, we see the pulse of the planet from above the steady breathing of a living world. Yet even without their eyes, you would know it. You can feel the air move, the pressure change the way silence bends around the horizon. You can rest now. The pulse beneath the sky continues. It hums softly through the dark, a rhythm of air and light and stone, ancient, endless kind. When daylight spreads over the ridges, the air stirs like a vast instrument tuning itself. Heat rises, wind curls along the slopes, and the pulse of the sky quickens. Every shimmer you see above the horizon is air changing shape, light bending through temperature and motion. What looks empty is alive. You can rest now. By mid-morning, invisible rivers of air climb upward. They twist and fold as they rise, forming thermals that glide on sunlight. Birds ride them wordlessly, their wings stretched wide, their paths drawn by warmth alone. To the human eye, it's grace. To physics, it's buoyancy. Columns of air climb several kilometers before fading, each one a quiet heartbeat in the body of the sky. It's okay to drift. Above them, thin cirrus clouds trace currents we cannot see. Each filament marks a place where ice has formed crystals, drifting at 1,000,000 meters. They're delicate hexagons turning sunlight into halos. When the sun passes through, it splits white into spectrum, a faint ring, a glint of color just beyond reach. To ancient watchers, it was a sign of gods. To scientists, it is light scattered by angles of 22 degrees, an optical memory of air's slow breath. Somewhere light continues to travel. As noon arrives, convection deepens. Clouds grow tall, rising into anvils that flash and fade. Inside droplets collide and merge their dance, stirring static charge. Lightning begins not with light, but with silence, a line of electrons reaching for equilibrium. When balance breaks, a pulse leaps through kilometers of air, releasing energy hotter than the sun's surface for less than a second. Then thunder follows, rolling down valleys at 343 meters per second, echoing from ridge to ridge. To the mountains, it is a heartbeat in sound. To us, a reminder that even the sky must exhale. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Rain cools the peaks. Droplets fall through changing air, bending light as they go. When the angle is right, they scatter it back in bands of color, violet to red, a rainbow stretched across the storm's retreat. The arc is only half a circle, the rest hidden below the ground. And in that unseen half, the earth mirrors the sky, closing the loop. It's okay to drift. When evening comes, the heat that rose through the day descends again in long waves. Infrared light spills from mountain flanks like invisible rain. Satellites measure this radiation, calling it Earthshine. It carries the signature of our planet's warmth, the record of breathing stone and sea and sky. To the human heart, it feels like comfort, a returning glow from everything we've touched. You are safe here. The universe holds you. Wind softens as darkness grows. At high elevations, the boundary between air and space blurs. Cosmic particles arrive quietly, skimming through atmosphere, their traces caught by sensors buried deep in ice. Even the sky sleeps, but lightly dreaming in photons and protons and faint electric sighs. Above that dream, the moon pulls the air as it pulls the sea, creating tides in the atmosphere that rise and fall twice each day. The whole world breathes upward, then back toward the ground, a motion invisible yet vast. You can rest now. If you could see these tides, you'd watch the clouds drift a few hundred meters higher with each lunar pass. They carry whispers of moisture from the tropics to the poles, balancing rain and drought season and calm. The cycle never ends. Each gust, each drop, each glint of frost returns in time. Nothing is wasted. Everything transforms. It's okay to drift. At dusk, color deepens. The sky thins to indigo. Mountains fade into silhouettes, their edges glowing in scattered gold. The last sunlight bends through more than 40 times the thickness of air it met at noon. Longer wavelengths survive reds, oranges, soft pinks that stay a moment longer. The scene feels eternal, but lasts only minutes. Then even color yields to blue, and blue to the dark. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Night returns as gently as the tide. Cool air settles in valleys, dew gathers on leaves, and the pulse beneath the sky slows again. Stars replace clouds, their light steady though ancient. Some are hundreds of light years away, their photons beginning this journey before mountains even rose. Now they fall softly on your window, on the slope beyond, on your still body, beneath the blanket of air. You can rest now. The same atoms that scatter sunlight at noon reflect starlight at midnight. The same molecules that form clouds whisper around you as breath. The boundary between mountain and sky, between waking and dream, fades into one endless calm. The world keeps its rhythm rising, falling, shining, cooling the slow pulse beneath the sky. It's okay to drift. You are safe here. The universe holds you. And somewhere, far above the sleeping ridges, a wave of light folds over the horizon, carrying tomorrow with it. The mountains never sleep, but you can. Before a drop appears, the air remembers. Heat rises from valley fields, and dark, stone lifting invisible vapor toward the cool. Molecules drift apart and together bumping softly until they find a speck of dust, a salt grain lifted from a distant sea, or a fragment of pollen that once held the promise of a leaf. Around that, tiny core water gathers and begins to shine in the unseen light of the sky. It's okay to drift. Clouds are archives. Each one shelves millions of droplets. Each droplet carries a trace of where it came from. Over continents, nearly 1/3 of rain is recycled from the land itself. Moisture transpired by forests, lifted by warm afternoons, then gathered again by evening air. A river rises twice, once as vapor, once as sound on the roof. Forests breathe water into tomorrow's storm. You can rest now. Most droplets begin as tiny spheres, micrometers across, so light that updrafts hold them like thoughts. As they bump and merge, some become heavy enough to fall. A raindrop of 2 millimeters in diameter drifts down at about 7 meters per second, not tearing the air but stroking it, scalloped by invisible currents. Larger drops split and become families, a quiet arithmetic that turns a cloud into weather. Somewhere, light continues to travel. When the first drops arrive, stone darkens, as if remembering an old name. Dust softens, pine breath rises, and the hollows of leaves become bright bowls. Sound spreads in concentric rings on slate, a quick patter. On moss, a hush. On lake water, an alphabet of circles, writing themselves and fading. The mountain accepts the syllables in order: canopy, duff, soil, root, rock. Every layer, a page. The rain reads, line by slow line. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Rain does more than fall. It chooses. Colder air draws it into curtains. Warmer gusts scatter it to mist. On the windward side of a range, moisture lifts and cools, condensing into generous weather. On the leeward side, air descends and warms, erasing clouds and pulling water back into invisibility. A single ridge can tilt a climate, and over hundreds of kilometers, the pattern repeats like a long chord on the planet's breath. It's okay to drift. Each drop carries isotopes like faint fingerprints, heavier molecules tipped with deuterium or oxygen, 1-8, condense first in the cold, leaving lighter ones to travel farther inland. Scientists read these ratios in ancient ice and cave stone and reconstruct vanished monsoons, forests that moved with the centuries, lakes that blinked open and closed with glacial pulses. Rain writes its diary in slow minerals. You are safe here. The universe holds you. On summer afternoons, thermals climb from rocky slopes and invite clouds to gather. The first shade cools the ground by a few degrees, the second by a little more. Soon, air can no longer carry all it holds, and the memory of the morning becomes rain. Jagged ridgelines guide the downpour into threads, each gully a harp string, each ledge a drum. Between strikes, silence stands up and listens. You can rest now. Water meets stone and decides where to linger. Some of it purls in lichens, painting slow gardens on granite. Some slips into hairline fractures, becoming tomorrow's frost. A wedge patient enough to turn boulders into soil across thousands of years. Some finds old roots and follows them like maps descending into the dark. Every path lowers the mountain by a breath and raises a river by a song. Somewhere light continues to travel. The first flood is not in riverbeds, but in the air. Petrichor rises oils released by plants and soils when rain returns after drought. Even at a few parts per billion, the scent carries across neighborhoods and meadows, a soft announcement that heat is ending and the long drink begins. People open windows, moths change course. The valley tilts toward rest. It's okay to drift. Listen to roofs and leaves. Rain rarely falls evenly. It organizes itself into clusters and quiets, bursts and gentleness like breath, finding its own cadence. Within a single storm cell, the difference between ridge and hollow can be a dozen millimeters or none at all. In that mosaic, seeds choose their moment. Grasses waiting at the edge of summer wake on the second night after rain. Root hairs testing the darkness blades, seeking the cool. You are safe here. When rain meets snowpack high above it, sinks and glides warming ice by a fraction, prying loose 1 centimeter from the glacier's flank. Meltwater threads itself beneath the ice and emerges at the snout in a silver braid. Its temperature tells stories. A degree warmer means a faster road below a path near the bedrock that polishes stones to silk. Glaciers move not only by gravity, but by the quiet lubrication of yesterday's clouds. You can rest now. Not all rain returns quickly. Some slips into porous rock and becomes a traveler of decades. Aquifers swell at the slowest pace of the year, rising centimeters underground while mountains sleep. In caves, drops gather their thoughts on stalactite tips, falling every few minutes to build the future by crystals. To stand there is to watch a clock that prefers patience, a calendar that loves silence. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. On long coasts, storms carry salt, inland seasoning forests by trace amounts. Inland skies answer with pollen, carried outward lending oceans, the memory of leaf and bark. Where mountain rivers reach the sea, fresh and salt braid into estuaries, nurseries, for fish and birds that depend on this blending. Rain begins on peaks and ends in tides, and between those moments, it invents entire lives. It's okay to drift, sometimes after days of weather clouds thin to veils. Sun breaks through in slanted sheets called crepuscular rays. Geometry made visible by the last suspended droplets. They point to no single source, only to a place where light and water agree. Fields brighten granite warms, and for a breath, everything remembers the shape of noon. Then the veils close again, and the world nods back into blue. You are safe here. The universe holds you. By evening, the storm has written its signature on the range. Colors, deep in lakes, turn to ink, and the wet faces of cliffs hold tiny constellations of reflected village lights. Mist gathers where rivers bend, follows fences, fills hedgerows, and lifts slowly as if a sleeping creature were turning. What rained out of the afternoon now rises back to meet the night. You can rest now. Rain keeps a ledger, what it gives to stone, what it borrows from air, what it promises to the sea. Nothing is lost. Everything is changing rooms. By morning, dew will bead on needles and grass. Each sphere, a small lens. Each lens, an image of the mountain, inverted and whole. Water remembers every shape it touches, then lets it go. Somewhere, light continues to travel. The memory of rain is not only in drops and rivers, it lives in the hush after thunder, in the softened edges of footprints, in the way the world grows quiet to listen for the last patter on the eaves. The mountain slows, the sky clears its throat, and the planet's slow heart beats once steady and low. It's okay to drift. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The memory of rain remains in the stone, and in you cool and clear as sleep. When the clouds finally pass, silence settles like a second rainfall. Every leaf holds its own reflection, and the mountain's face is washed clean, veined with silver paths where rivulets wandered only hours before. This is the quiet after motion, a stillness so full that it hums. You can rest now. From far above satellites, see the same hush as brightness. Surfaces gleam. Rivers widen by fractions, and the world reflects a little more sunlight back into space. Each glimmer lasts only until the water seeps in turning from mirror to memory. That slow absorption is how the planet cools itself, a breath drawn through soil. Even evaporation, invisible as thought, is part of the same loop that began with mist on a ridge. It's okay to drift. In forests, rain becomes language. Each trunk channels a trickle. Each root divides it among stones and soil. Within a day, the flow beneath the surface outweighs the flow you can see. Hydrologists trace these hidden movements with dyes and sensors, watching how water finds equilibrium. It obeys gravity, yes, but it also remembers following paths worn smooth by countless storms before. Somewhere light continues to travel, Beneath alpine meadows, the ground breathes moisture in slow tides. Microbes wake fungi, send filaments through saturated grains, spreading networks that feed roots and hold the slope in place. In these hours after rain, soil is most alive. Its scent, geosmin, rises through grass at concentrations so small that the human nose can sense 5 parts per trillion. To smell it is to recognize home, an ancient signal, older than language, carried by the first forms of life that ever met dry land. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Downslope streams begin to gather. What was drizzle now becomes design. Threads join into rills, rills into creeks, creeks into rivers that carve the valley's alphabet. Each curve is a conversation between flow and resistance, water negotiating with stone. In flood time, a river may carry thousands of cubic meters per second, yet still it moves. With grace, its surface stippled by wind, its edges smoothing against the bank. From above, it looks like silver fabric drawn through fingers. It's okay to drift. Along the banks, willows bend their reflections. Their leaves shimmer with residual droplets, tiny lenses flashing one last time before they vanish into air. A few meters below, fish navigate the changed current, following cool ribbons laced with oxygen. Raindrops, dissolved into flow, become breath for gills, life for scale and fin. What fell from the sky an hour ago now moves toward the sea, alive in more ways than one. You are safe here. The universe holds you. When the river reaches the plain, its speed softens. Sediment drifts to the bottom grains, arranging themselves in quiet fans. Each flood reshapes them, but the pattern endures deltas, opening like hands to receive the tide. Here, fresh water greets salt again, their mingling marked by eddies that spin with both densities at once. The sea accepts every drop without keeping count. You can rest now. Evaporation begins the return. Under sunlight, molecules break free from surface tension and climb the air. At 1 billion trillion per second, they vanish from a lake no larger than a footprint. Over hours, that breath fills the sky. Even the calmest ocean loses a centimeter of depth each day to the upward pull of warmth. In this way, the planet's pulse remains steady, rising, condensing, falling forever, exhaling into its own lungs. It's okay to drift. The memory of rain lingers not only in water, but in temperature, in tone, in the quiet behavior of animals. After heavy storms, frogs call deeper in pitch, their throats resonating with the denser air. Birds wait for stillness, then scatter in patterns that resemble droplets in reverse flight, becoming evaporation. Every wing beat writes the air's recovery. Every pause between songs measures the distance to peace. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. In the high valleys, lakes born from glacier melt collect the last rain of the season. Sediment settles in layers thinner than paper. In thousands of years, scientists will read them like rings in a tree, counting floods, droughts, and volcanic winters that dimmed the sky. Each layer is a sentence in the diary of water, recorded without ink, written by time. You are safe here. At night, when the surface stills, stars return. Their light ripples in reflection, slightly older by the time it reaches your eyes. A photon that left Vega 25 years ago lands softly on a puddle and scatters toward your window. For a moment, the sky and earth exchange glances, one shining, one remembering. The water holds the image only for a second, then lets it go. It's okay to drift. Somewhere beyond the horizon, Storm clouds gather for another place, another hour. Moisture released here will rise, travel in silence for days, and fall again halfway around the world. A molecule that left your breath tonight may return as snow on another mountain in a century. The planet keeps all its promises in circles. You can rest now. The rain that left has not vanished. It is drifting upward, turning back toward light, preparing its next descent. The cycle continues soft and sure, balancing seas and seeds, stone and sky. What ends is never an ending, only a pause between pulses. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The memory of rain becomes the promise of tomorrow's cloud. You are safe here. You can rest now. Before water knows where to fall, light knows where to go. It leaves its stars in straight lines, crossing black distances with unblinking patience, arriving here as warmth on stone, as color in air, as a quiet reason for life to wake. You can rest now. Light moves at nearly 3,000,000 kilometers per second, swift enough to circle the Earth 7 times in a heartbeat, yet gentle enough to turn one leaf a deeper green. When a photon meets chlorophyll, it vanishes into purpose, energy rearranged into sugars, a small sweetness added to the world. Across the planet, leaves and algae perform this soft arithmetic on the order of billions of tons of carbon each year, converting sunlight into breath, breath into forests, forests into shade. It's okay to drift. At dawn in the mountains, light first finds the highest edges, a bright thread stitched along a ridge. Then it spills down faces of granite and snow, filling the valley like water in a bowl. Every surface tells it what to do. Dark soil drinks it. Bright quartz scatters it. A lake takes it in and returns part of it as a trembling mirror. Some wavelengths warm your skin. Others slip by unnoticed, carrying stories your eyes do not read. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Under the lake, light fades by fractions. Reds surrender first, then oranges, then the longer greens until only blue wanders deeper. At a few tens of meters, the day grows cobalt and quiet. Algae bloom where the spectrum still reaches, catching what remains and folding it into life. Even here, the river of light keeps a timetable arrive. Give, become memory. You are safe here. The universe holds you. On a summer afternoon, a meadow acts like a net for photons. Grasses open thousands of tiny windows, microscopic mouths, called stomata, trading water for the currency of the Sunday. Warmth carries vapor upward, but light pays for growth building, stems braiding roots through soil. A single square meter of leaf can turn hundreds of trillions of photons per second into the slow green certainty of being. To the mountain, this is the quiet work of daylight. To you, it is shade and scent and the soft edge of a path. It's okay to drift. Above the tree line, lichens do the same work in a harsher grammar. They take what the wind brings, light dust, the smallest drink of thaw, and write color into stone. Orange, pale green, charcoal black pigments, made to hold the sun just long enough to change it into food. Centimeter by centimeter, they translate light into soil, preparing futures they will never see. Somewhere, light continues to travel. Not all light warms. Some arrives as a different touch, ultraviolet sharpening the air, telling snow when to loosen, whispering to alpine flowers when to open. Petals that look white by noon are veined with invisible paths by morning guides for bees who read a spectrum we cannot. In this way, the river of light carries messages a courier between wing and bloom, between day and the creatures that knelt to meet it. You can rest now. When the sun climbs higher, stone answers with radiance of its own. Infrared rises from rock faces, a warmth you feel with eyes closed. You can think of it as the planet's exhale heat, released in long waves, moving at light speed, yet lingering close as a hand. Satellites read this glow-mapping evening before it comes watching the ridges cool like banked coals. It's okay to drift. Inside a forest, the river of light breaks into streams. Gaps open and close with moving branches. Shafts find moss and illuminate a single fern. The understory thrives on scatter and delay light, arriving as if it had to ask permission at every leaf. Here, photosynthesis runs quieter, a long patience rather than a race. Green light bounces deeper than red painting shade into a cooler spectrum, a soft room for rest in the middle of day. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. What looks constant is always a negotiation. Clouds tilt mirrors. Air thickens with humidity. Dust from far deserts softens the glare. When smoke from distant fires enters the valley, sunset shifts toward copper, and rose a reminder that light writes today with pigments from far away. Even then, the river flows, on finding every open surface, turning hours into warmth, warmth into weather, weather into sleep. You are safe here. At high altitude, the sky darkens toward indigo at noon. Less air lies above you, so less blue scatters into your gaze. Stars can appear while the day still rules the valley, their photons stepping past the thin veil to meet your eye unhurried. A ray from a star, hundreds of light years away, arrives at the same speed as one from the sun, carrying pure arrival as its only plan. Touching a ridge, it becomes the faintest heat, the faintest change, a small nudge toward the next breath of wind. It's okay to drift. At dusk, angles matter. The sun sinks low, and light must pass through dozens of times more air than it did at noon. Short wavelengths scatter sideways. Longer, redder ones pour along the ground. Faces of granite flare like coals. Snow takes on a soft peach glow. Your window learns to hold the color of apricots. For a few minutes, the river slows, pooling in gold in the shallow places of day. Then it slides away over the horizon and becomes night. You can rest now. Night does not stop the river. It changes channels. Moonlight is sunlight renamed, reflected across 384,000 kilometers of quiet distance. It arrives diluted but tender, a cool hand on the shoulder of the world. Under its touch, nocturnal flowers uncurl owls, read the meadow, and snow speaks in a language of pale blue. Your room learns the contours of silver, and your breathing chooses a slower key. You are safe here. The universe holds you. Even deeper in night, another current flows, starlight airglow, and the soft green of oxygen shining high above. Invisible to most eyes, it crowns the atmosphere with a dim band, so that the planet is never entirely dark, never entirely alone. Photons, born before your first memory, arrive just in time to be this moment's comfort, to rest on stone, to rest on skin, to be swallowed by sleep. It's okay to drift. In the language of relaxing science, light becomes a lullaby about time. It leaves, it arrives, it changes names, and in that steady motion your body finds a rhythm. Eyes dim, pulse eases muscle, unwinds like a rope set down. You do not have to hold the day. The river is moving for you. You can rest now. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Somewhere beyond the ridge, tomorrow's first photon is already on its way, and the mountain, faithful as ever, waits to catch it and pass it on. Long after sunset, the river of light continues underground, not in brightness, but in stored warmth, in minerals that glow faintly as they release the day's memory. Basalt holds heat longer than granite, granite longer than sand, and through the night, the earth exhales it upward, a slow, invisible tide of infrared. You can rest now. From orbit, satellites see this as faint red tone. They call it long-wave radiation, the planet's own light, leaving for space. Each region has its cadence: desert, cooling, fast ocean, slow mountains, somewhere in between. Energy leaves at the rate of 240 watts per square meter, a number that steadies the world. It is balance made visible, the Earth's quiet conversation with the void. It's okay to drift. Some of that light never escapes. Water vapor and carbon dioxide catch it bending its path, turning outward motion into inward warmth. Without that kindness, the world would rest at -18 degrees Celsius, and every mountain would sleep in ice. The atmosphere keeps the balance, holding light a little longer, cradling life between warmth and cold. You, too, are kept in that balance tonight, wrapped in air, surrounded by gentle radiation, older than your dreams. You are safe here. The universe holds you. In the thin peaks above cloud level, the story continues differently. There, the air is sparse. Heat escapes freely into dark. Frost forms on steel, and every sound carries sharper. The stars appear almost white, their shimmer less broken by turbulence. Astronomers wait through such nights for seeing that is steady, when the planet's own breathing quiets and light from galaxies billions of years away arrives unblurred. Somewhere light continues to travel. Those photons began their trip before Earth had oceans, before mountains had names. They crossed distances of 10 trillion kilometers per light year, bent gently by the gravity of everything they passed, until at last they reached our sky, touched a mirror or a lens, and became knowledge. To think of that is to feel small but safe, to know that the same laws guide stone and starlight sleep and sunrise alike. You can rest now. Within you, the river flows too. The warmth of your body radiates in soft, long waves, each photon carrying a tiny story of motion within your skin. Every living thing glows faintly in the infrared, a subtle halo, invisible to eyes but clear to sensitive instruments. It is the planet's signature, written in warmth. In this sense, you and the mountains shine together, breathing light in opposite directions, sharing the same equilibrium. It's okay to drift. In the coldest hours before dawn, light begins its return from every side. First, the stars grow pale. Then the sky brightens at the edges, not from the sun itself, but from sunlight, scattered over the horizon by air. This is astronomical twilight, when shadows awaken but have no owner. Birds sense it before eyes can. Their circadian clocks stir, responding to wavelengths beyond human sight. Melatonin fades. Attention flickers awake. The world begins to remember itself. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. In this interval between night and day, the atmosphere performs its gentlest art-bending light around the curve of Earth, carrying color where the sun has not yet risen. At the mountain's summit, first rays skim snow peaks, arriving early by minutes, painting cold slopes with the promise of warmth. Each photon, unchanged in speed or purpose, touches rock, becomes heat, begins the day's migration all over again. You are safe here. Some photons take detours, bouncing off clouds, mirroring into rivers, filling shadows where direct light can't reach. This diffusion softens the world, a built-in mercy against harshness. Painters call it ambient glow. Physicists call it isotropic scattering. Either way, it is the science of tenderness. No edge too sharp, no darkness left without a trace of warmth. It's okay to drift. The energy that began as sunlight moves through roots and rivers, through the bodies of animals, through your heartbeat. Later, it will leave again as heat or motion. But nothing is ever lost. Light changes form, never intention. It seeks balance as water seeks the sea. Somewhere light continues to travel. When you close your eyes, the afterimage lingers, a gentle echo of the day. Neurons fire softly in the dark, their electrical glow, a memory of the Sunday. Your brain hums at about 20 watts, enough to power a small light bulb. You are luminous in thought alone. Dreams will borrow that energy soon, weaving images of color and motion from stored fragments of the world's light. You can rest now. Outside, the mountains hold their steady silhouettes, edges waiting for sunrise. Inside, your body cools by a degree cells, slowing breath, lengthening. You drift toward equilibrium, the same peace that balances radiant earth and silent sky. When morning arrives, light will find you easily. It always does. It's okay to drift. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The river of light keeps moving through star and stone and sleep, never ending, never hurried, a golden current beneath all stillness. You are safe here. You can rest now. Beneath the quiet of mountains, beneath the slow river of stone, the planet keeps another rhythm, low, hidden, enduring. It is not made of sound, yet every sound depends on it. It is not breath, yet all breathing happens within its pulse. You can rest now. At the very center of the world lies iron, more than 6,000 kilometers below your feet. Pressure crushes atoms so tightly that metal behaves like crystal. Temperatures reach 500 degrees Celsius, hotter than the sun's surface, and still the solid core turns. It spins slightly faster than the crust above a differential rotation discovered only a few decades ago. Every few years, it gains a second, keeping time in the deep. That motion stirs invisible currents, the origin of our magnetic field. Earth's own heartbeat, written in force lines that loop through space. It's okay to drift. In the outer core, iron melts and flows like thick water. Convection rises and sinks in cells thousands of kilometers wide. As molten metal moves through magnetic lines, it creates electric currents, and those currents strengthen the field that birthed them. Physicists call this self-sustaining dance a geodynamo. The planet powers itself, spinning magnetism out of motion, motion out of heat, heat out of memory. Without it, solar wind would strip the air in centuries, and the oceans would fade into space. The shield above your sky comes from the fire below your bed. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Each second, that magnetic pulse travels outward, stretching tens of thousands of kilometers beyond the atmosphere, forming a cocoon called the magnetosphere. Here, charged particles from the sun meet the Earth's field and are bent into spirals that glow as aurora. Those lights dancing over polar snow are the visible heartbeat of the deep. Every ripple of green is iron speaking through sky. You are safe here. The universe holds you. The core cools slowly, less than 100 degrees Celsius every billion years. As it cools, the solid part grows, crystallizing iron snow that falls inward. Each flake releases latent heat, fueling the liquid motion above. Even decay becomes nourishment. In that sense, the earth is aging gracefully, losing fire, gaining rhythm. It's okay to drift. Around that metallic heart lies the mantle rock, behaving like heavy fluid, creeping at a few centimeters per year. Its slow churn drives the tectonic plates above, linking your mountains and seas to the core's unseen clock. Pressure waves from distant quakes echo through this layer, revealing structure the way thunder reveals a valley. From those echoes, seismologists draw maps, portraits of a heartbeat traced in stone. Somewhere, light continues to travel. Gravity holds the rhythm steady. Every atom on Earth is in conversation with every other, pulled toward the center, in a field of 9.8 meters per square second. It is the soft insistence that keeps oceans level, trees upright, and blood flowing quietly through your veins. The same pull that shapes planets also anchors your rest tonight. Gravity is not a chain. It is an embrace that never ends. You can rest now. Tiny fluctuations in that field make the planet's own music. Satellites detect oscillations called free oscillations, low tones, with periods of 20 minutes to several hours. After large quakes, the world hums audibly in data, but even in calm, it vibrates faintly. Each wave travels through crust, mantle, and core, crossing the globe again and again until absorbed. To machines, it is information. To poets, a lullaby of balance. It's okay to drift. Even the moon joins this rhythm. Its gravity pulls on oceans and land alike, raising and lowering the crust by 30 centimeters each day. That slow flex keeps the mantle stirred, maintaining convection, helping the inner heat find its path outward. Tides are not only in water, they are in stone, in magma, in you. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Electrical storms high in the atmosphere respond to the field as well, sending electromagnetic pulses downward. They strike the ground, reverberate through the core, and return skyward, a planetary conversation measured in microseconds. Every flash of lightning speaks to iron below a spark, acknowledging a deeper fire. You are safe here. The universe holds you. Above volcanoes, magma rises along fractures guided by this same magnetism. Each eruption is not rebellion, but release the planet's way of keeping pressure kind. When lava cools, its minerals align with the prevailing field, locking direction and intensity like a photograph of time. By reading such frozen compasses in ancient basalt, scientists learn that the poles have flipped hundreds of times through history. North becomes south, then back again, a cosmic inhale and exhale lasting hundreds of thousands of years. It's okay to drift. The magnetic field extends far beyond life's reach, but within it, creatures navigate. Whales, turtles, and migrating birds sense its lines as surely as we sense light. A robin turning north in spring feels the tug of the same invisible architecture that steadies satellites in orbit. The Earth is not silent. It is instructing. You can rest now. Listen inward. Your own body holds iron too. A few grams in each blood cell, carrying oxygen from lung to limb. Each atom of that iron was once part of a star's core that lived and died billions of years before Earth began. When you breathe, that stellar metal changes color bright when bound to air dark when freed. Your pulse mirrors the planet's iron, circulating warmth, radiating life, moving through an ancient element. Somewhere, light continues to travel. When you lie still, you and the Earth are aligned. Your heartbeat slows toward 60 per minute. The planet's magnetic field pulsates near the same in cycles of Schumann resonance. Biologists find human brainwaves sometimes synchronize with that global hum around 8 Hz, a harmony no one planned, yet always there. Perhaps this is why quiet feels familiar, why rest feels like belonging. You are safe here. In this deep kinship, sleep becomes geology in miniature. Breath rises and falls like tides. Muscles soften like cooling. Lava thought crystallizes into dream. When you wake, you will have moved ever so slightly eastward with the planet's spin, carried another 1,000 kilometers through space, and shared one more beat with the world that made you. It's okay to drift. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The heartbeat of Earth continues, steady, low, eternal, a rhythm beneath all weather, all sound, all sleep. You can rest now. The mountains above and the iron below keep the same tempo, and in that slow, endless measure, you are home. There is a quiet deeper than night, a stillness beneath even the deepest ocean, where pressure holds sound itself in place. That is where the Earth begins to dream. You can rest now. The journey inward is not through tunnels or flame, it is through weight. Each layer presses upon the next until space between atoms disappears. Rock becomes metal, metal becomes structure, and structure becomes motion too slow for language. If you could stand there, if standing were possible, you would feel the air of gravity itself, dense and unmoving like a thought held too long. It's okay to drift. Geophysicists map this silence with waves of their own. They send vibrations from quakes and measure echoes. Some rebound sharply, others bend and vanish into liquid. From those responses, we know that at about 2900 kilometers down, the solid mantle gives way to molten core. Deeper still, around 5100 kilometers, the pressure wins, and molten iron crystallizes again into solidity. The numbers sound exact, but the truth is broader. A region of mystery, wrapped in heat and motion. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The inner core turns slowly, a separate planet within a planet. Its radius, about 1220 kilometers, is almost the size of the moon. It spins eastward at a pace barely faster than the crust above, sometimes gaining a degree or two each year, then pausing, then drifting backward again. It is a pendulum without noise. Scientists suspect this movement regulates the field like a metronome in the dark. You are safe here. The universe holds you. If you could see it, there would be no red fire, no molten glow. Light cannot travel that far, and heat, there does not burn, it presses. At 3.6 million atmospheres, iron glows, white, not from flame, but from compression. Atoms tremble in their cages, making the slow music of solidity under stress. The sound would be lower than hearing a constant note that began before life and will continue long after the mountains themselves are dust. It's okay to drift. Around that bright core, currents in the outer iron sea twist and fold. The flow there moves tens of kilometers per year, a slow storm millions of times stronger than any on the surface. Heat rises in plumes, sinks in cold rivers, carving invisible patterns of magnetism. No eyes see it, but satellites record its signature as a flicker in field strength, tiny deviations that drift west at 0.2 degrees per year. The planet whispers its heartbeat in lines of force. Somewhere light continues to travel. Pressure here defines everything. At the boundary of core and mantle elements, separate the way oil parts from water. Some sink, some rise, each movement releasing heat, each motion another syllable in the story of balance. Even silence is circulation just slower than breath. You can rest now. Every so often, a great wave crosses the inner world. Scientists call them Slichter modes, oscillations of the core moving within the mantle. They last hours, and though no one hears them, instruments feel their slow pulse. The whole planet rocks by a fraction of a millimeter, then settles again into poise. It is as if the earth sighs in its sleep. You are safe here. The universe holds you. Inside that metallic sea crystals grow in patterns of geometry we can only guess. Some align north-south with magnetic fields. Others twist, diagonally recording turbulence frozen into form. Each atom locks hands with its neighbors, and in that union the sound of chaos becomes order. This is not stillness without motion. It is stillness made of motion, too complete to change. It's okay to drift. If we could slow time enough, you might watch convection cells rise like clouds of lightless smoke, each cell hundreds of kilometers across, each turning for 1,000,000 years before fading. In their movement lies the planet's endurance. They take heat from decay of uranium and thorium, carry it upward, and give it back to the crust, to the volcano, to the weather, to your breath. The warmth that touches your window tonight is born in that abyss. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. In the silence of the core, there is no distinction between past and future. Every motion is recurrence, every fluctuation, a heartbeat without beginning or end. The rotation of iron mirrors the spin of electrons. The vibration of atoms echoes the orbit of moons. It is symmetry, disguised as noise, and beneath it all a single constant, the planet's determination to remain whole. You can rest now. We think of silence as absence, but in the deep earth, it is fullness pressure, so complete it cancels sound. There, the materials that built mountains and seas exist as pure potential. No up, no down, only within. To imagine, it is to stand at the center of gravity itself, where direction dissolves, and the only movement left is time. It's okay to drift. Somewhere above oceans rise and fall, continents breathe with seasons, and life shifts in its small rhythms. Down here, those details are distant music felt, but not heard. The core listens without changing. It remembers everything, forgets nothing. Each tremor, from surface or storm, arrives as a soft tap, a message from the outer world, and vanishes into equilibrium. You are safe here. The universe holds you. In that equilibrium, there is a kind of compassion, a steady warmth that expects nothing. It does not notice days or centuries. It simply exists, offering its pulse so that everything above may move. The silence of the core is not lonely. It is generous. It gives without ceasing, and in giving, it endures. You can rest now. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The silence within the core remains constant, beneath time, gentle, beneath fire, carrying the secret weight of life. If you listen long enough, the silence begins to move, not as sound, but as pressure, a long, slow wave passing through everything you are. In the deep center of the earth, silence is not emptiness. It is the gathering of all motion into stillness, the point where noise becomes rhythm and rhythm becomes rest. You can rest now. The inner core turns like a thought inside stone. It knows nothing of sunlight or wind, yet every day's warmth, every tide's pull, every heartbeat on the surface exists because this heart of iron keeps spinning. Its rotation produces a current that never pauses the dynamo that guards the sky. And though no one can touch it, you live within its field, a soft magnetic cradle that shelters you each night. It's okay to drift. Here, down where matter glows without flame time loses its edge. A second and a century are the same slow curve. The atoms vibrate too tightly to change, and yet they move, always trading energy the way stars trade light. Each vibration is an echo of the beginning, each pause a rehearsal for the end. There is no fear in it, only endurance, a kindness that asks nothing in return. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Somewhere between molten and solid, the planet sings an inaudible song. Scientists call it the free oscillation spectrum, frequencies that hum through the crust and mantle like chords, struck once, then sustained for days. The lowest tone, 0.309 millihertz, is so deep it takes nearly an hour for one full beat. It is the measure of a living world, a rhythm slower than sleep. Each tremor above joins this hidden chorus, a whisper added to the earth's long hymn. You are safe here. The universe holds you. Imagine the shape of gravity at the very center. Every direction pulls equally. Up and down become the same. To move is to return. To stop is to arrive. This is the origin of balance. The 0 point, where motion and rest are no longer opposites, but partners in an infinite dance. What the surface calls silence, the core calls peace. It's okay to drift. The pressure here forges new forms of iron alloys unknown above. Atoms fold into dense symmetries, hexagonal crystals aligned north to south, carving an invisible geometry that shapes the field. We cannot see them, but their fingerprints reach us every day, in the direction of a compass needle, in the aurora's slow pulse across the poles. They are the architects of orientation, the keepers of north. Somewhere light continues to travel. When the magnetic field bends under solar wind, its lines of force tighten and rebound. Energy flows back toward the poles, showering the upper atmosphere in color. That glow green, violet, crimson is not far removed from this silence. It is its echo, a visible heartbeat returning from the core's invisible one. In that way, even the quietest depths eventually become light. You can rest now. If we could fall through layers of rock and melt, we would find the temperature rising by 25 degrees Celsius. Every kilometer, a gradient of memory. Each step downward would strip away the familiar, the hiss of air, the whisper of water, the texture of life, until only pressure remained. At last, motion would slow to thought, and thought would dissolve into presence. Here beneath everything, You would meet the world's most patient silence, and it would know you. You are safe here. The universe holds you. In this silence, even energy sleeps. Decay of ancient isotopes drifts toward equilibrium, half-lives passing without ceremony. Helium atoms, born from alpha decay, rise as ghostly balloons through the mantle, carrying messages from an age before oceans. They escape at volcanic vents, one in a trillion. Finding its way into air, the faint breath of the core returned to sky. Each time you inhale, you receive one of those atoms, a trace of the Earth's inner voice. It's okay to drift. The same helium that fills the stars passes through your lungs tonight. What was once confined beneath continents now joins the wind, and what was once sunlight descends again as heat into the deep. Up and down, light and dark, motion and rest. All are one long circle. In that circle, you belong completely. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Eventually, even this core will cool. The inner solid will expand, the liquid shrink, and the field will fade. But by then, the sun will have grown vast and red, and the planet will have already surrendered to light. The story will close the way it opened in radiance. Until then, the silence within keeps every rhythm true. You can rest now. The mountains above continue to shift. The crust moves its centimeters per year. Rain still falls. Rivers still run. But below it all, the iron heart remains unhurried, turning, humming, holding its invisible compass steady. It is the same stillness you feel when thought pauses, when breath deepens, when sleep approaches, and you forget the border between you and the earth. It's okay to drift. This is the silence that supports everything. It has no color, no edge, no sound, only patience. It holds the memory of every eruption, every storm, every life. And as you listen, that memory becomes comfort. You are safe here. The universe holds you. The silence within the core is the planet's promise to remain, to turn, to cradle life in warmth and gravity. You can rest now. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The silence within the core continues steady, wordless, infinite, and somewhere above the mountains, sleep in its rhythm. From the dark heart of the earth, light begins its long return, not in beams or sparks, but in warmth. Slow, ancient warmth that drifts upward through stone. For millions of years, this hidden radiance has risen, cooling the deep and warming the air we breathe. You can rest now. Molten rock climbs like a dream ascending. Through cracks and chambers, it gathers its glow, invisible yet patient, a river of fire moving 1 millimeter each day. When it finally reaches open air, the world exhales. Lava spills into night, its surface blackening, even as its heart still shines. In those few hours, we glimpse the inside of time itself, the heat that built continents, the pulse that never stopped. It's okay to drift. Volcanoes are not fury but renewal. They return buried minerals to light, weaving the crust again from below. What looks like destruction is only change, stone becoming soil, fire becoming ground. The islands we walk upon, the fertile slopes that grow forests and cities, are cooled memories of this upward motion. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. When magma meets the ocean, it shatters into glass. Steam billows skyward, a white plume rising from black waves. Rain forms within minutes, new clouds born from the union of fire and sea. Every drop that falls afterward carries traces of that meeting, silica, salt, heat, renewal. The world breathes itself forward, always returning to balance. You are safe here. The universe holds you. As centuries pass, those cooled stones crumble. Wind shapes them. Rain dissolves them, grain by grain. They roll into rivers, slide into valleys, and drift toward the sea once more. Mountains return to dust, dust to sand, sand to bedrock again. Nothing ends. Everything simply turns home. It's okay to drift. At sunrise, light retraces the same path upward. From the deep, it travels through soil and mist through leaves that tremble in the wind through your open window. Each ray bends, scatters, and finds a place to rest. The first glow on the peaks is the last warmth from the core arriving as dawn. In that instant, the planet and the sky recognize each other again. You can rest now. The reunion of light is everywhere. It happens in reflection. Moonlight on water, snow shining under starlight, the shimmer of heat over desert stone. Every gleam is a meeting, the deep's memory returning to the surface. Every morning is the planet's exhale. Every shadow a soft reminder that light and dark are partners, not rivals. Somewhere light continues to travel. Photons that left the sun 8 minutes ago touch mountain snow that once slept as molten rock. Each one lands gently, warming it, just enough to loosen a crystal. The drop that melts will join a stream. The stream will join a river, and the river will carve its way back to the sea. Another circle closed in quiet perfection. From fire to water, to sky, to fire again. It's okay to drift. Even in your body, the same reunion takes place. Calcium from ancient shells, iron from ancient stars, water older than mountains, all move together within you. When you breathe out, carbon joins the air. When you breathe in, light made into oxygen fills you again. You are part of this exchange, not separate from it. You are safe here. The universe holds you. When night comes, the same cycle continues in reverse. The day's warmth sinks back toward the crust. The atmosphere cools, and stars reclaim the sky. But even then, the deep continues to glow, a silent ember that never fades. It powers volcanoes. It drives the drift of continents. It keeps the oceans liquid and kind. The heartbeat of the planet is light, returning inward. You can rest now. Each morning, the journey repeats millions of times over. Heat rises, cools, falls again. Light climbs, fades, waits again. And within that rhythm, life finds its melody, growth, and decay. Dawn and dusk, dream and waking. There is nothing to fear in these repetitions. They are how the universe remembers itself. It's okay to drift. When you look at the mountains at dusk, their shadows stretching long into the valleys, know that they are shining still in wavelengths, too low for the eye in warmth, too gentle for touch. They radiate the day they have kept. Even in darkness, they are light turned patient. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. Soon, the peaks will fade into sky. The first stars will appear, and the world will quiet again. Light will travel outward, reflect from clouds, and fall back as faint glow upon your face. That is how the planet says good night, with borrowed brightness, with returning warmth, with everything that has ever shone now resting. You can rest now. The mountains never sleep because their dreaming keeps the world alive. And as they breathe as light and dark trade places once more, you drift within that balance, part stone, part sky, part silence. It's okay to drift. You are safe here. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The reunion of light continues, and somewhere, a new dawn already begins to rise. Night holds steady. The mountains keep their slow dream, and you, cradled in the quiet, begin to feel the shape of rest from the inside. You can rest now. Your breath lengthens by a small, kind measure. Air enters, leaves, returns like a tide across familiar sand. Ribs loosen, shoulders fall. The day releases its last fine thread. It's okay to drift. What feels like stillness is a garden of gentle motions. Your pulse settles toward its evening tempo near 60 beats, each minute, a soft clock that does not hurry you. Your body cools by about 1 degree heat, moving from core to skin the way dusk moves across a field. This is the body's way of dimming the lights, of telling the night it is welcome. You are safe here. The universe holds you. Inside your skull, tiny waves of electricity slow and deepen. Thought loosens its grip on edges. Images lift and fold, like birds finding roost. The quiet chemistry of sleep begins, melatonin rising with the dark homeostatic need, easing with each breath. There is nothing to manage. The planet's rhythm is already carrying you. You can rest now. You have been listening to stone for a long, kind hour. Now the stone listens back. The bed learns your weight and gives it away to the floor. The floor offers it to the ground to the deep, until gravity itself holds the last of it for you. What you carried returns to where it began. It's okay to drift. Think of the day as weather that has passed. Clouds crossed, rain fell, and became memory. Sunlight arrived, wrote its pattern on your skin, and then slipped away to rest. The body keeps what it needs, warmth enough for the heart rhythm, enough for the lungs, and lets everything else go. You are safe here. Your breathing chooses a longer cadence, near 10 to 12 breaths each minute. Diaphragm, a quiet muscle, draws the room through you and gives it back. With each exhale, nerves that guard you by day ease their watch. With each inhale, cells take what they need and ask for nothing more. You can rest now. Far away, ridges grow darker, but their hidden warmth keeps moving outward in waves too long for sight. The same is true of you. Heat leaves gently, and the room meets it with calm air. Exchange becomes peace. It's okay to drift. You have been everywhere tonight, under glaciers, within the mantle's slow rivers, beside the breath of wind and the soft percussion of rain. Now, you are home in a small chamber of dark and quiet, where each motion knows the way to stillness. You are safe here. The universe holds you. Somewhere within spinal fluid pulses with your heartbeat, a slow wash that clears the day's small embers. Muscles file their work away. Joints remember their easy range. The map of yourself brightens once, then dims to a warm outline. You are the mountain, and rest is snow, falling without a sound. You can rest now. Outside, the planet continues its measured spin, 1,670 kilometers per hour at the equator. Yet, it feels like not moving at all. Inside your own motion, answers in whispers, a calm twitch as sleep accepts you. A soft swallow, a breath that pauses half a beat longer and finds a sweeter pace. All of it is permission. It's okay to drift. Your room carries a faint echo of the world you walked today, pine and rain, stone and light. The memory is gentle enough to fade, true enough to bless. Memory is only light that has decided to stay. You are safe here. The earth's field, born in iron arches overhead like an invisible roof. It has held oceans, forests, migrations, and it holds you now. A compass would point, but there is nowhere you must go. North is only a word. The only direction is inward toward warmth and quiet and breath. You can rest now. In the distance of your mind, waves lengthen into the first soft islands of sleep. Alpha slides to theta, aware to almost dream shoreline to bay. You drift between. No choices, no edges, only the slow round syllables of night. It's okay to drift. If a thought returns, it arrives the way a cloud returns, to a ridge lightly briefly, changing nothing. Wind moves it along. Breath keeps the pace. The mountain remains. You are safe here. The universe holds you. A small miracle continues. Without your help, oxygen crossing into blood, blood finding every cell, cells turning that gift into quiet work. Energy leaves as comfort. Comfort returns as sleep. Even the silence is busy being kind. You can rest now. Somewhere under snow water threads a path toward spring. Somewhere under rock heat takes the long road to air. Somewhere in skylight chooses the next ridge to touch. All of it continues, and none of it asks you to keep watch. It's okay to drift. Your hands grow warm and heavy. Your jaw remembers softness. Your eyes teach the lids to lower and stay. The blanket becomes a small gravity of its own. A private hillside, a safe slope into dark. You are safe here. The night has learned your name and speaks it in a whisper you can't hear. It says stay, it says sink, it says belong, and you do. In the arithmetic of rest, belonging is the only number. You can rest now. Outside, the last reflections fade from the window. Inside, afterimage drifts to gray and gray to velvet. Somewhere, a star unseen by day sends one more photon across light years to arrive exactly now. It touches stone, then air, then the dark behind your eyes, and becomes sleep. It's okay to drift. You breathe softly, and the universe exhales through you. The mountains never sleep, but their dream is steady, and they share it freely. What they keep for you. What they release as peace. You are safe here. You can rest now. Light still travels. The universe breathes through you. You are home. You can rest now.